guys, it's Tina and I'm back. And we are barefaced and wearing white today because I am sharing my bronzer collection with you guys. These are the majority of my bronzers. I mentioned that I wanted to do a bronzer video for you guys where I swatched all my bronzers, showed you them applied to my skin, and walked you through the different formulations, the shades that are available, and which ones I thought were worth the money, and which ones are my favorites, and which ones are complete duds. So that's what we're doing in this video today. And the best way to show a bronzer on tan skin is to offset it with white, right? Oh my god. So this shirt is completely useless in the winter because it's long sleeve, but it is a mesh, it is see-through, and it's cute, so it's fine. It's fine. I have my heat up. We're on 75 and we're just having a grand old time playing with our bronzers. So we're gonna go through and, like I said, swatch all these bronzers on my skin. So I'm gonna swatch them on my cheek and I'm gonna swatch them over a light layer of foundation just to give a truer feel as to how these will apply on the skin if you're applying it over foundation, or even if you're applying it over a primer or moisturizer. So even if you're going bare skin, you probably still apply a moisturizer of some sort. So this will give you a better idea of how these will apply and blend over a moist skin. So let's go ahead and jump into, I believe it's 15 or 16 bronzer brands. Yeah. So we have a lot to get through. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Alright guys, so we're gonna start out with one of my favorites. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer, and this is described as a matte bronzing filter for face and body. There are currently only 4 shades available, and this retails for $55, and it contains 16 grams of product, or 0.56 ounces. So you're getting tons of product here. And the interesting thing about this packaging is that there's a little hole back here in the packaging that you can just use something pointed to poke through it, and the pan is removable. So I'm thinking there will be refills available at some point, so you don't have to keep repurchasing the full bronzer with the packaging and everything for $55. Instead, you can just buy the replacement pan. The usage life on this is indicated as 24 months, which means you have a good old 2 years to use this up before it's expected to go bad. So like I said, there are 4 shades available, and this shade is tan, which is described as a medium deep bronze, and this shade is third in the line, so it is the second to deepest shade. And for me, this reads very warm bronzer on my skin tone, so it has more of a golden caramel undertone, but it's still kind of light, so this is not going to show up if you are much deeper than me. So here you have a heavier swatch so you can see the color a little bit more intensely. Alright, so let's go ahead and apply this to my cheeks, and as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm actually applying these over a very light layer of foundation, and I am using the Morphe 2 Hint Hint Skin Tint. I know, don't ask questions. This is Hint of Cappuccino, which is deep tan with neutral undertones. So I just apply that to my cheek area just to give the bronzer something to cling to, and to give you a better idea of how this would apply over foundation rather than on bare skin. On bare dry skin, these bronzers don't really apply the best. They don't really pick up the pigmentation, so you'll need to apply a moisturizer or a primer of some sort to your skin so they have something to stick to. Otherwise, they're just not gonna show up. At least that's what I found out trying to demonstrate it for you. And so I decided to actually use just a light layer of foundation. And I'm using the skin tint because it's not a heavy coverage foundation. So here we have the first shade, and I love this color because it's more of a caramelly shade. It deepens up a hint just to give me a little bit of sculpt if that's what I'm going for, but it also blends in really easily because it is that airbrush formula, and even though it's a matte bronzer, it doesn't come off dry or cakey, and this is my perfect color because it's not too intense. It gives me a little shape and definition, but you can't tell that I'm wearing a bronzer. Well, you probably can, but you know what I mean? It's not too jarring, like, oh my god, bronzer. So I really love this color, and this one has caramelly undertones, so there's no redness to it that clashes with the caramel in my skin. So Here's the first shade up. Now the other bronzer that Charlotte Tilbury has in her lineup is the Film Star Bronze and Glow. Now there are two options available in this. So you have a light and fair option, and then I have the medium to dark. This contains the same amount of product as the airbrush bronzer. So you have 16 grams or 0.56 ounces. And you have two shades in here. So there is a sculpting shade, which would be the bronzer, and then a highlight shade, which would be, of course, a highlighting shade. This retails for $68, so it is quite a jump from the $55 for the airbrush bronzer. And this one is a fail. I say skip this one if you're my skin tone. Just don't even bother with this one. I'm gonna show you what these look like. So this is the sculpt shade, and then this is the highlight shade. Do you look at this? Do you see any color really showing up? Not really. So I originally picked up this bronzer from Charlotte Tilbury because I thought, oh, it's gonna be great, it's awesome. No, it's not. The highlighter though is cute. It's a very subtle highlighter. It's something I would use, but this bronzer is just like a glowy face powder on me. So if you're my complexion or even deeper, don't even, unless you're gonna use this as face powder or just as a subtle highlighter. Now let's go ahead and apply this bronzer so you can see that it doesn't show up at all. So grabbing it on the brush, and it shows up slightly, but this is due to the foundation that I have on, because the foundation is gonna allow it to deepen up a little bit, but it's not cute for me at all. Do you guys see that color? It's like a gray cast. It doesn't look flattering, and then I'll pop on the highlighter just so you can see what the highlighter would look like. The highlighter looks beautiful, but it's very subtle. It gives like an orangey sunlit glow to my cheeks, but this bronzer, no ma'am, no Pam. And then up close you can also see the gray shimmer to it. This is one that I would say definitely skip. All right, so now we're gonna go with Marc Jacobs. So this is their Omega bronzer. It's the Coconut Perfect Tan, and this shade is Tantalize, which is 106. So there are 3 shades of this available. So this bronzer retails for $49 and contains 0.8 ounce or 25 grams of product. So tons and tons of product. It has even more product than the Charlotte Tilbury large bronzer that I thought contained a lot of product. 25 grams, okay? So this contains 9 more grams than the Charlotte Tilbury one. What? The usage life on this guy is 12 months, so you have a year to use this up, which is a ton of product to get through in a year, but I believe in you, you can do it. So here's the thing, this is now on sale, so you can get this for $34 in case you were interested. Hopefully you guys can still catch the sale because it's been on sale for a while. So here's that shade up close for reference, and I'll go ahead and swatch it so you can see what it looks like in an intense swatch. So here you have that shade. It doesn't show up too intensely, which is what I go for, and you can see it's more of a caramelly matte bronze shade. So like I said, the shade I have is Tantalize, and this is described as a warm deep bronze. Now this is the darkest shade. So if this barely shows up on me, it ain't gonna show up on you if you have darker skin. So I'm showing you the bronzers that work for my skin tone, so just bear that in mind. And this bronzer is also beautiful. It's a little bit deeper than the Charlotte Tilbury, as you can see here, and it gives me that little sculpted effect, but it works great on the hairline as well, which I usually use my bronzer on my hairline, on my temple area, and then on my jawline. So I do somewhat of a C, not necessarily the 3 that is usually recommended, like do the 3 to come down here, and you can do that too, but I usually just stick to the C. To the C, you know what I'm saying? And this, love this. I love this bronzer, and I'm surprised it's on sale. Like, why is it on sale? Like, usually things go on sale when they aren't doing well, and maybe people aren't loving these, but I love this bronzer, and I am glad that I picked it up. I got it on sale, and I love the packaging as well. So here you have this one here, and it is beautiful. All right, we're gonna keep it bougie and pull out the Gucci bronzer. This is one of the newer ones in my collection. Miss Gucci Poudre de Beauté Éclat Soleil Bronzing Powder. Y'all know I can't pronounce all of that now. It's just their bronzing powder. This contains 12 grams or 0.42 ounce of product. So decent amount of product, not a lot, but a decent amount. And it retails for $62. So by far, this is the most expensive bronzer I have in my collection. There are more expensive ones on the market, but this is mine, okay? This is cute though. It's Gucci, like what did you expect? I still think there's enough product in here for me to be okay with the price, but it's still a pricey bronzer, okay? So there are 5 shades of this available, but this is number 4. So I got the 4th shade, and this is for tan skin tones. The other shade is dark, and that looks so rich and red. I almost got that, but I was like, that's too red. And this one looked like it would be a little bit warmer. And usage life on this guy is 24 months. So let's go ahead and swatch her. You see, she is a warmer bronzer. It's not a full-on matte. It has more of a satin finish. So there's a little bit of glow. And you can see there, it's more of a caramelly brown shade. I am glad I didn't go deeper. So here you have Miss Gucci. It's a little bit more on the orangey side, like swatched on my arm, you can see that it's a little bit more orange. It's a little warm, so let's go ahead and apply this to the cheeks. All right, so this picks up a lot, so just be mindful of that. But the color is beautiful. It smells, ooh, is that like a powdery perfume? I love it, okay? I know some people don't like fragrance in their makeup or their skincare. On the other hand, I like a little fragrance. Nothing heavy, not like Hoola heavy, but a little Gucci, a little La Mer, a little Chanel, a little coconut, a little vanilla in my bronzer doesn't really bother me. This is a very lightly pigmented bronzer. The more you blend, the more it goes away. But I think it gives a beautiful look to the skin. But again, not too deep. It needs a little bit of expansion here in the shade range because this is just enough to show up on my skin. It's not too deep, but it gives a beautiful finish. But is this my go-to for a high-end bronzer? Is this the one I would tell you to get? No. So, there you have it. It's Miss Gucci. It's Miss Luxury. She looks good on the skin. Like, she looks good. She smells good. She applies well. She blends out. Like, she is doing it, but she's pricey, and the shade in this doesn't really show up that well on my skin tone, as you can see. It looks nice, but it's like not gonna give you a lot of punch. All right, next up is Miss Fenty Beauty by Rihanna. This is the Sunstalker Instant Warmth Bronzer. The shade I have is Caramel Cutie. This contains 6.23 grams of product or 0.22 ounces. Not a lot of product, and it retails for $30. The usage life on this guy is 12 months, so you have a year to use it up, and I think you can go through this amount of product in a year. So like I mentioned, the shade that I got in this is Caramel Cutie, and there are 8 total shades available in this bronzer. There are 2 shades that are deeper than this one. Caramel Cutie is described as tan to deep with neutral undertones. So let's go ahead and swatch this shade so you can see the heavy swatch. This one I was intrigued by because it is a warmer bronzer as well, but it has a little bit more depth than the other 2 bronzers that we have swatched so far. So let's go ahead and pop this on the cheeks. And this guy is a little bit powdery, so it picks up a ton of product, so you just have to be mindful of that. And again, this color is beautiful. It's a beautiful caramelly brown, and it applies well and deepens up on foundation, so be careful with that, but it blends out really easily and really nicely. I had another shade of this that was just too light. It didn't really show up. I didn't like the color. This one is perfect. So if you're my skin tone with caramelly undertones, you might want to go for Caramel Cutie, which the name describes perfectly. I love this shade. It's perfect, it's beautiful, and I love how it looks on the skin. Again, it gives me a little bit of dimension, so I can get a little contour out of it, but I can also use it on my hairline to give me a little bit of dimension. So Caramel Cutie gets a thumbs up from me. While we're speaking about Fenty, let's go ahead and grab their cream bronzer. So this is the Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Bronzer. I have the shade Teddy, which is number 5. This contains the same amount of product as the pressed version. So we have 6.23 grams or 0.22 ounces. And again, the usage life is 12 months. With a cream that's actually pretty good because creams usually have like a 3 or 6 or 9 month shelf life. And this one retails for $32, so it's a little bit more pricey than the powder version, and there are only 7 shades available in this. So there's still 2 shades deeper than Teddy, the one that I'm gonna show you, but just keep that in mind, it doesn't have the same shade range as the powder bronzer. So Teddy is meant for tan skin tones, and that's all it says. It doesn't give you an undertone or anything, so let's go ahead and swatch that. So this one is a creamy, caramelly bronze shade again, and I want to show you guys this one because this is a fail for me. So when I applied this to my hairline, it was so shiny, it looked like I put glaze topping on my hairline, and that was not cute. So I'm gonna show you this blended on my skin so you can get an idea of what I was working with. So there is actual shimmer to this shade. There is like a golden sheen to it. Similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow, there is a glow to this. Now, usually I don't mind a glow, but in a bronzer that's on my hairline or no, it's not, it's too much. It's too shimmery, it's too shiny. It's just not giving me bronze, you know what I mean? Even though with bronzer, some people like to have a slight glow to it because, hey, your skin is warm, it's the summertime, you're gonna have a little glow. But this to me, they should have just kept it matte because this does not translate well in practice. Like that shine, why? On my cheeks, it doesn't look too bad because, you know, cheeks can be glowy, so I can deal with this shine here. But if you're gonna apply it to your temple area, just know there's gonna be a shine and it just looks interesting, and that's not the interesting I'm going for. So here's the Freestyle Cream Bronzer. I'm not into it, but hey, I'm showing you just in case you're interested. Alright, so since I just showed you the cream bronzer from Fenty, let me go ahead and showcase the other cream bronzer that I have in my collection. This is from Soul Body, which is an offshoot of ColourPop. And this is their Face and Body Bronzing Balm. I got the shade Dark. This retails for $15 and it contains 31 grams or 1.1 ounce. So you get tons of product in here. And the recommended shelf life is not on this, so I am gonna go with 6 months. This one has a protective cover, which is great for cream products. And again, the shade I have is Dark. It doesn't have a description for the undertone, but I just went ahead and chose the one that I thought would work best for me. And this bronzer is a deeper one than the Fenty. It is matte, and it also has a caramelly undertone. It also smells a little bit tropical, like a pina colada. I like that smell. But if I was gonna recommend a cream bronzer, it would be this one. For the price and the amount of product that you get, I like the packaging a little bit more for a cream product as well. And the color works better, and because it is matte or like a cream finish, it's not gonna give me that shine that Fenty did. And you see this color blends in really well with my skin. It gives me that little bit of dimension, but it's warm, it's not red at all. And I really like this, especially along my hairline. And if you want to even use this as a base for other bronzers, it works really well. It's a lightweight formula, so it's not heavy or thick, so it feels really good on the skin, and it smells good. Like, I really like how it smells. But there you have it. That's my other cream, but I haven't been showing you this side of my face so you can see the difference. I should have been doing that, huh? But anyhow, here's the difference between non-bronze and bronze. Alright, y'all ready for a classic? Alright, so we have the NARS bronzer. So this one is a remix or a little redo of their original like Laguna bronzer. This is the matte bronzer version. There are 4 shades available. And the shade I have is actually Samoa. So this is the third shade in the list of 4. So there's one deeper. This retails for $38, which I thought it was more pricey than that. I was surprised by the price. $38, and it contains 0.28 ounces of product, or 8 grams. So you're not getting a ton of product in this bronzer. Your usage life on this is 18 months. So here you have that bronzer. Again, it's the matte version, and Samoa is described as a deep golden brown. This is a beautiful chocolatey caramel brown again. Most of these shades that you're gonna see me swatch are caramelly tones because we're talking about bronzers that work best for my skin tone. So if you're my skin tone, come on caramel, All right, let's pop this on the cheeks. This bronzer is a matte bronzer. That's what it's described as, because their other bronzer, their regular bronzing powder, has a little bit of sheen to it, a little bit of shimmer. This is the matte version. And this to me still works out great because it has a creamy finish. It's not a dry matte, which a lot of powders that are coming out nowadays, even though the finish is stated as matte, it gives still a beautiful skin-like finish. This color, this bronzer, love it again. It's a beautiful bronzer. It blends out well. It's a beautiful color, like come on skin. I love this bronzer as well. It's more caramelly, not red toned, looks really flattering on my skin tone, gives me a little dimension, but still gives me a touch of color. So I really do like this bronzer a lot. And hair is bronzed, and not bronzed. I mean, I have a little hollow hair, but you know. All right, let's switch from the classics to a more indie brand, one that is new on the scene for us here in the States. This is NARS Cosmetics, and this is their skin bronzing. That's what they call it. It's cute. They call their highlighters like skin glazing. You know, it's a thing for them. And the shade I have is Profile, which is the deepest shade of 4. So there are 4 options available. This contains 6.5 grams or 0.23 ounces, which we see a running theme with that size. And this retails for $24, and the usage life is 18 months. So Profile, like I said, is the deepest shade, and it is described as a dark warm brown. This is more of a hard pressed baked formula, and you can see it's a little bit dark. So here you have it. Let's see what that looks like up close in a heavy swatch. You can see it's a deeper shade, and this one, even though it's a warmer bronzer, it has a little bit of red to it as well. It even has a slight sheen, if you can tell, which isn't a bad thing as long as there's not shimmer or glitter in it. And that's just my personal preference, so let's go ahead and apply this guy. Ooh. So, boom, I'm not gonna, oh, wait a minute, because this is a little bit deeper. I'm not gonna go in too hard, but it applies really well, and look at that. Look, this is such a great sculpting bronzer. So for me, what I do with my bronzer is I kind of bronzer. So it's not just bronzer to warm up my skin, but I'm giving myself a little bit of dimension with my bronzer. And this one is the perfect color for that. It is not too deep, which initially you might expect it to be deep because of that heavy swatch. But as you can see, it applies and blends out well. I really like the color of this. It has a little red to it, but it's not too red on my skin tone. It still gives that warmth to my cheeks. So, unbronzed, bronzed. What? Do you see the difference that a little bit of shading can do? Gave me a little bit of cheekbone. Who you talking to? What? So that is the NARS Skin Bronzing Powder. All right, so back to the classics. We have Too Faced. This is the Chocolate Soleil Matte Bronzer. They had a previous version that had a little bit of sheen to it. I, of course, want the matte version. So there are 3 shades of this available, and this retails for $32 and contains 0.28 ounce of product, or 8 grams. The size that we're seeing mostly, and there's an expected usage life of 12 months. The shade I got in this one is dark chocolate, which is deep to tan, and this is the darkest shade available. So let's go ahead and see what their dark option is giving us. A whole lot of nothing. So here's the shade that looks like my skin tone. I doubt you'll be able to see anything. Yeah, you'll see a slight color difference on my hand, but we're gonna apply this on the cheeks over foundation and see what happens. All right, Miss Mamas who is doing nothing for the girls, let's see what you got going on. This is dark chocolate, remember that. So it does show up on foundation or moist skin. If you try to apply this to dry skin, you're not gonna see anything. This is gonna be like a setting powder, but it gives a little bit of color. Is it enough for me to like wear it? Yes, because I am a subtle bronzer kind of person. So like I wouldn't kick it out of bed, but Too Faced, you can do better. Like, you've been in the game for so long. They've had their chocolate Soleil bronzers forever. So this shade range is inexcusable. Like, what is this? Anyway, here's the bronze side. Can you see anything? Probably not. It probably, yep, looks the same as the one that's not bronzed. Bronzed, not bronzed. So, Too Faced, it's cute. Like, if you're lighter than me, it's cute. It smells like chocolate because there's cocoa powder in there. Whatever, finish is nice. Like, the texture is great, but what is this shade? What is this shade rate? Dark chocolate? Have you had dark chocolate at all? No? Okay, because that's what I thought. Here, yeah. No. Alright, let's talk about a disappointing brand again. We have Hourglass and their bronzers. Okay, so these are their ambient lighting bronzers. They retail for $52, quite pricey, and they contain 0.39 ounce or 11 grams. Decent amount of product, not too much though, and the recommended usage life is 12 months. There are 4 shades available, and these are very, very light. The shade range? Trash. Ultimate trash. I have 2 of the shades. So I have Radiant Bronze Light and Diffused Bronze Light. So Diffused Bronze Light is a cool bronze shade fused with diffused light to mimic a ray of warm sunlight. It's ideal for light and medium complexion. And you know what? They are not lying, because that is a very, very light shade. Then we have Radiant Bronze Light. This is a warm bronze shade fused with radiant light to mimic a summer glow. It's ideal for medium and deep complexions. Now tell me, this is the light and this is the medium to deep. Excuse me? Now the thing about Hourglass is that their powders are mixed with their ambient light powders, which are very light powders, and they're meant to give you a glow to the skin. So they're not gonna be a matte finish, they're gonna be more of a luminescent finish. Look at those 2 shades. Come on now. This one is more cool tone, this one is warmer, but that's about it. The depth of shade is about the same. Like, come on. All right, let's go ahead and apply these. Let's go in with Diffused Bronze Light first. And these are gonna differ based on the marbling in the product, so you won't necessarily get the same depth that I'm getting if you have more of the Diffused Light in here, which is the lighter creamy shade, and less of the dark color. This does nothing. This, why, I didn't even, you know what, whatever, here we go, that's it, okay? Let's go in with now Radiant Bronze Light. I had high hopes for these, which is why I picked them up, because I do like the Hourglass powders. The formulation is nice to me. Look at Radiant Bronze Light. Again, same thing here. The shade that you get won't necessarily be the same as mine, because I have different marbling, obviously. These are marbled baked products, so the marbling is going to be different for each. Here's the light side. Do you see anything? Nothing but like glowy, pretty skin. Not shimmery, not shiny. And then here is the medium deep side. Do you see anything? Do you? No. So here's the thing about these powders. I don't mind them in my collection. I kept them because they give a pretty finish to the skin. I can use these as face powders. I can use them kind of the same way I use their ambient lighting powders, which is just to give a glow to the skin. But these are gonna be more my skin tone shade rather than like a lighter highlighting shade. Now, I don't know why. You know what? This is the biggest flop of my entire collection and all the bronzers that I have here. So definitely do not recommend the Hourglass Ambient Lighting bronzers. Alright guys, so here's a throwback. This is the Balm Take Home the Bronze Anti-Orange Bronzer. There are 3 shades currently available on the Balm's website. I don't know if they had more shades. I think they do. I feel like they did. But there was a whole fiasco with these. They changed names and all of these things. But the shade I have is Greg, okay? And on the Balm's website, this is retailing for $17.50, and it contains 7.08 grams, so just under that 8 gram mark, or 2.5 ounces. Recommended usage life, 12 months. I've had this more than 12 months. Let me just put that out there. I do not care, okay? The shade again is Greg. This is currently the deepest shade that they have available, so bear that in mind. And this is a matte warm bronze. Here's what Mr. Greg looks like. And they have male names for most of their products. So this shade is cute. It has more of a neutral gray undertone, not really a warm caramelly bronzer. So I have mostly used this as a contour shade rather than a bronzing shade, but it works as a bronzer, of course. It's a little bit more on the neutral side than like the warm side, and you'll see it gives shading, but not like a ton of warmth. It almost comes off gray on my cheeks as I blend it out. So you have to be careful with this one. It's cute. It definitely is anti-orange because there's barely any warmth to it. It is more neutral, and I don't hate it, but I also am not like the most thrilled about the shades that they have available. And then this shade itself is, you see, it's definitely a beautiful contour shade, but bronzer, not so much. Unbronzed, bronzed. So you see, it's not really bronze, it's more contour. So if you were looking for a contour shade, this is cute, but it's not going to give you as much warmth as a bronzer is expected to. Moving on, we have another classic. This is Benefit, their Hoola bronzer. Now here's the thing, they only recently expanded their shade range. They had the Hoola bronzer, which was a single shade for the longest time. Then they created Hoola Light. Really? If you're gonna create Hoola Light, I hope you have Hoola Deep coming up right on the tail end of that. No, it took a while for them to get the deeper shades, so I thought that was bullshit. But anyhow, here we have Hoola Caramel, which is recommended for medium deep skin. So when I saw this, I was like, alright, I'm gonna try it out. I don't really like the Benefit box products just because I don't like the box situation, but I get it, it's their aesthetic, fine. So this shade is, like I said, Hoola Caramel, and it is medium deep. I think the shade name kind of helps to describe the product because there's no description for it. And this guy is more of a caramel bronzer, which again is more up my alley. But as you blend it in, you can get a little bit of neutral undertones pulling from it, so you can use it as a contour as well. Are you ready for her? Because here she comes. We're gonna go ahead and apply this. And listen, this shade, I have had this shade deepen up on me quite a bit. If you apply this over on-set foundation or really moist skin, you can get that darkening effect. So you see that's where the neutral or gray undertone comes out. It's definitely a lot deeper if you apply it over something moist than if you apply it over dry skin. So this shade can actually work for quite a few skin tones. For me, I'll go in light-handedly and apply it, and it works fine. It blends out really well, and I can just apply it over set skin as well. So I set down my foundation before I go in with it, and it applies fine. So what I'm gonna do with this particular one is apply it on the side of my face without foundation. So this is dry skin, so you see it gives a beautiful color to the skin, nice warmth, a little bit of shadowing, but it's not as intense as that side. So you can apply it dry again over set skin, or you're gonna end up with a little bit more harshness than you like, and you gotta blend, okay? And it blends out fine. It's not patchy or anything, but just keep that in mind. It's a little bit richer than you expect, but I think it's actually a pretty decent shade for medium deep and tan skin tones. And even if you're my skin tone, which I consider like a dark tan, starting out the dark deep shades. All right, now let's go ahead and grab BECCA. So this is their Sunlit Bronzer, And the shade I have is Ipanema Sun. They have 5 shades available, and this is the second to deepest shade. This one retails for $38, quite pricey for how much product you get. So you get 0.25 ounce or 7.1 grams. So it's under the 8 gram mark. And the shelf life for this is 24 months. So you have another 2-year bronzer here on your hands. I've had this longer than 2 years. So it's fine. It's a powder. I don't get too squeamish about that. So like I said, this shade is Ipanema Sun, and it's described as a medium auburn-brown. This is a beautiful caramelly shade again. And this one has a bit of like a satin sheen to it. It's not a complete matte, but you can see it looks light on the back of my hand. Let's go ahead and apply this to the cheeks. All right, let's see how it goes. So this one is one that is very subtle, but it gives a pretty look to the skin, which I really like. So it's not too deep. It's kind of like the Too Faced one. There's not much to it, honestly, truly. But for some reason, I like how this looks on my skin. It gives just a little bit of shading. And because it has a glow to it, that isn't a sheen or a shimmer, it just looks flattering. You know what I mean? So this one, again, light. I don't think this one is gonna match a lot of people. But if you find a shade in this bronzer that you like, I think the finish of it is nice. I think the powder blends beautifully, but the shade range needs work. But I do like it, and I guess it's kind of hand in hand with the Too Faced one. I like them enough, but they just need to work on their shade range for sure. And at that price point too, come on now, $38, stop. Do better. All right, another classic brand is Urban Decay. This is their Beach Bronzer. They have 2 shades, okay? Trash, complete trash shade range. This retails for $31, and it contains 0.31 ounce or 9 grams of product, so around the typical sizing. And this has a 24-month usage life. And the shade I have here is Bronzed, and this is the deeper of the 2 shades, and it is described as a matte medium dark bronzer. Now this one is another shameful shade because it doesn't really show up. It shows up like a setting powder on my skin tone, but let's apply it to the cheeks so you can see what I mean. All right, let's pop this guy on. It's also a bronzer that I like because it's subtle, and I'm a subtle bronzer type of person, and I like the finish of it because it's very beautiful on the skin. It's not dry, it's creamy without being shiny. And you see, it gives a little bit of color, but not a lot. So for this to be the deeper of the 2 shades is just horrific. And I think Urban Decay can do much better. They do face powders really well, complexion products really well. So I think they need to work on their bronzers because they have the potential to be so great. So I am rooting for you, Urban Decay, but I don't have a problem cutting you off if you still don't pick up the slack, okay? Just warning you. All right, let's take it to the drugstore with the NARS Matte Bronzer. They have 5 shades available, and this is the deepest shade, okay? I am offended, okay? The drugstore needs to do better, but we have another drugstore option that is killing the game. However, let's start out with NYX. So the saving grace for this product is that it retails for $10, which is more on the affordable side of drugstore. And you can of course use coupons, and things go on sale quite a lot. And this contains 0.33 ounce or 9.5 grams, larger than the 8 grams that we're seeing. And it has an 18-month usage life. So like I said, this is the deepest shade. This is Deep Tan. And when I went in store to check this out, because I wanted to see the shades to see which one would work, this one was still looking too light for me. And I was disappointed that this is their deepest shade. Like, are you kidding me? Come on now, you're rivaling Urban Decay with this nonsense. But we're gonna try it out anyway, and we're gonna just pop that on the cheeks. So, over our foundation, it darkens up a bit. So that's one thing that you can say, okay, that works. And the color is beautiful. It's a caramelly brown again, and it applies really well. I think it's a beautiful shade for me and my preferences. But if you wanted something richer, you're not gonna get it. The deepest shade, again, this is the, I'm not gonna keep repeating that. But this is horrendous if this is the deepest shade. Talk about not really even showing up on my skin. Pretty finish, blends out nicely, but come on now, come on. For drugstore, we need more affordable options for bronzers. So, I mean, it's not a bad formula, applies well, but just keep in mind that you're not gonna get a wide shade range here. All right, for the drugstore option that I would actually highly recommend, Makeup Revolution. So this one is the Revolution Glow Splendor Ultra Matte Bronzer. They have 6 shades available. Here's the thing, this is the medium shade. Yeah, it's a little bit deep for me, it's a little bit rich, and so I went in and grabbed the light shade as well because I was just like, this is a little bit too rich, and then the light shade has more of a neutral but warmer caramelly undertone. So we're gonna try these two on. These retail for $12. Again, they're in the drugstore, so you can use coupons, and there's usually a sale. And these contain 0.54 ounces or 15.5 grams of product. So you're also getting a ton of product in this one. It's smaller than the Charlotte Tilbury one though, and like the Marc Jacobs one, but you're still getting tons of product in here. And the recommended usage life is 12 months. If you are really pale, these might not be for you, but they also have different bronzers in their lineup that might suit you better. But in this range, the shades are a little bit deep and rich, and they even have a really dark rich shade in this line. So I am so happy that a drugstore brand is actually doing it right with the bronzers. Again, if you're pale, this might be a little tricky, but they have other options that are lighter than these specific ones. So again, this is the Splendor Ultra Matte Bronzer, so just keep that in mind. So here we have the light shade, and it's so interesting because I picked up the medium on a whim. I was like, I should go for the dark, but I was glad that I picked up the medium because this is light. When I got the medium, I was like, all right, no, something is off. I gotta definitely check out the light because the medium is definitely dark. So you see, this one is warmer, has more caramel to it, but also has a neutral undertone. And here is the medium, which is a richer, more red toned shade. Let's show you them next to each other. So this is the light shade, this is the medium. So you'll see the depth of the shades are not that different, but the undertones are where they differ. So here you have the medium shade, and I am glad that I didn't go dark because that is actually a rich shade. You see, this is more orange, has more of a red undertone. I'm actually gonna swatch these a little bit different. So I'm gonna do both cheeks. So I'm gonna start out with the light shade, which is a little bit punchy. You see, this is the light shade, guys. If you have rich skin, you're looking for a more affordable bronzer, this may be where you need to go. This formula, though, I will say, takes a little bit of blending out. It can catch onto your skin and just stay in place, and blending it is like a task. So I would recommend applying this on set skin, so powdered skin, because girl, it can pick up and then just get stuck there. You can't blend to save your life. So that is the light side. You see that has more of a gray undertone. It's a little bit warmer. We're gonna go in with the medium one now, which is a little bit more red and a little bit on, a little bit more on the cool, well, is it like a cool tone red side? Which I don't mind, it actually works well on my hairline, but I have to be a little bit careful with this and not apply too much because again, that pigmentation is definitely there for this one. So let's go ahead and zoom in. They almost don't look different except for the undertone. So here's the light side, which is more gray, has a little bit of a neutral caramelly undertone, but you see that shadowing effect. And then we have the medium side, which is more red toned, which is not a bad thing, like I said, and you can see the depth there. But these two shades, I mean, come on, from the drugstore? Okay now, and for such a great price point, come on. And this contains a ton of product. So you're getting your money's worth for sure. And this actually has a sweet, yeah, it smells like pineapples. smells like artificial pineapples. So this is a great drugstore option as far as I'm concerned. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up with Cover FX. These are their monochromatic bronzer duos. So there are 2 shades available in these little palettes, which is great because they retail for $38, which is a little bit pricey. That's up there with the BECCA one, which I thought was overpriced for what you get. But in this one, you're getting 2 shades. One is a matte bronzer, and then the other side is shimmery. So if you wanted to have a shimmery bronzer, you can mix the 2 together, or if you wanted to use the shimmer side as more of a highlight, you can also do that. I do that. That's how I use the shimmer side, as a highlighter or like a blush topper, because this deeper shade is a little bit rich, so I can use that as a blush topper. So anyway, there are 2 color options available. So we have Suntan Bronze, which is the deeper shade, and Sun Kissed Bronze. So in these compacts, we have a 0.51 ounce of product, or 14.5 grams. So that is roughly 7.25 grams each for each of the powders. It may be a little bit different because matte versus shimmer, the volume versus the weight. Either way, you're getting roughly 7.25 grams for each of these pans. And the recommended usage life is 12 months. So here you have Sun Kissed Bronze, which is the lighter version. And I'm just gonna swatch the matte side because that's what we're focused on today, the bronzer. So this is definitely lighter, not necessarily the best one for me, but it still works. And then we have a Suntan Bronze, which is the richer shade. And that is not that different from the Sun Kissed one, but it gives me a little bit more depth. Here you have the 2 shades side by side, so you can use that for reference. So here again you have the shades. This is Suntan, which you will barely see, and then Sun Kissed, which you will see a little bit more on my skin tone, but you won't be able to tell until I apply these to the cheeks. All right, let's go for it. My cheeks are actually not burning as much as I expected them to, because, you know, I've been wiping off foundation and reapplying like it's crazy. So here we have Sun Kissed Bronze, the lighter shade. Like I said, this is a light shade, but it still shows up on my skin, and I use this more as a contour because it has a neutral undertone, as you can see. But these bronzers, beautiful. They apply well, they blend out well, they just look good on the skin, man. And now we have Suntan Bronze. So this is the deeper of the 2. As you can see, it gives me more intensity, a lot more color payoff. So this one is a little bit more on the cool side as far as undertone, so it has more of a reddy undertone. But you can see it works so well and blends out so well on my skin. And then this one is giving me more shadowing and a little bit more dimension. So I do like both of these shades, even though this one would be the one I would recommend just to give you the color and the dimension. So there we have it. That is the final bronzer, but with 2 shades. All right, so now that you have seen all the swatches, we've gone through all the bronzers, you've seen them up close, you've seen them applied to my cheeks. How about I give you my favorites and my ranking and thoughts of my overall bronzer collection? Okay, so drum roll please. Do a drum roll, Tina. Insert drum roll now. Number 1, my top pick is actually the Marc Jacobs bronzer. Yes. This retails for $34 and it has by far the most product in it. Does it have more than the Charlotte? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Tons of product, and it's on sale now. The shade I have again is 106 Tantalize. This applies so beautifully. I do like the Marc Jacobs powders. I think it smells divine. It applies well. I love the packaging. And yeah, you can get it on sale, so you can get a luxurious feeling bronzer with a pretty decent shade for more affordable price. It's still not affordable, but it's less than it would have been full price. Then we have number 2, drum roll, because I'm not gonna go from the bottom to the top. We starting at the top, okay? Because we're here for the best. Charlotte Tilbury, number 2, the Airbrush Bronzer. I have the shade Tan. There's only 1 shade deeper. It's pricey, but you get a ton of product, and I feel like the formulation is just beautiful. I love the finishing powder, the Airbrush foundation powder. So obviously I'm gonna love this texture, and I can't say enough good things about this bronzer. It definitely is one of my favorite products of 2020, and if they come out with the replaceable pans, that's gonna be even more awesome. So I do love this one as well. Now number 3 surprised me because it's a newer one to my collection, but the color, the texture, how it blends, I just love it. I really do like it. So it would be the Nabla bronzer, but here's the thing, this is the deepest shade and this is the one that I would recommend for you guys if you're my complexion. This is the Skin Bronzing Sun Kiss Effect Bronzing Powder in the shade Profile. Love this shade, love how it applies, love how it looks on my skin. Absolutely beautiful. All right. Next up, it's gonna be a classic. It's gonna be one that's just overpriced, but it's so beautiful, okay? It's the NARS bronzer. So this is the matte bronzer in Samoa. Listen, NARS does beautiful complexion products again. Powder products, they're just top notch and they know what they're doing, and they've been in the market long enough that they know to do a bronzer, but they need to deepen up their shades. They've released different options on the market here or there, but I do like this matte version. So kudos to you, NARS. Who is that? Number 4? Yes. Now number 5, I have to give to a more affordable brand because I think it's actually pretty great, and it's gonna be a cream bronzer. It's from Soul Body. This is the ColourPop spin-off. I think this is such a beautiful product. I really like it. I didn't expect to like it as much as I do because I don't love cream products, but this dries down so well. It doesn't leave a sheen on the skin like the Fenty one, and it just blends nicely, and this is a great shade. So the shade I have is dark and I think it's great. I love it, so I have to give it to them. And then number 6 is also going to be an affordable brand. The Makeup Revolution Splendor Ultra Matte Bronzers. Listen, these have a ton of product in them. They retail for $12. You can get them on sale. They have a great shade range, but I will say the drawback to these is that you need to work with them in a specific way. You have to set your skin down because these will cling and be hard to blend out. This is probably the one that's the most difficult to blend out. So I kind of offset it with the price of it and the shade range. So it's a pro and con here. You just have to know to work with it for it to really just blow you away. So just be mindful of that, but I think it still deserves a place at number 6. Number 7 is going to go to my girl Rihanna and her powder bronzer, not the cream one, the powder one. Caramel Cutie, she cute. She has a decent shade range. There are a few options. As you get deeper, it's like it jumps a little bit, so I feel like the shade can be expanded, but there's still so many great options, and this blends out beautifully and it gives such a beautiful color to the skin. So I'm gonna give it to Fenty for number 7. Number 8 though, it's gonna go to Hoola. I know I was fighting Hoola for so long because I am still so mad at Benefit that it took them so long to add deeper shades to their signature bronzer. Like, what? Are they crazy? Like, come on now. This is not the Jim Crow era. You stop. But the shade Caramel is beautiful. I hate the packaging, the box blush. It's harder to get in with a brush. It's just, it's a thing, okay? But the color, beautiful. The formula, beautiful. Love it. And then number 9 is gonna go to Cover FX. This one should have been higher, but I can see this shade range being trash for a lot of people. There are only 2 shades, 2 options available, like for real though. But I love these powders. I fell in love with them the instant I bought them. I tried out the deeper version first and then I went for the lighter version because I'm like, I love it, I want it all. And I love the highlight powders as well. So I definitely think these could have scored higher if they had a better shade range. And the price point too is a little bit steep, but still beautiful products, and they go on sale quite a lot at Ulta. They're always in that 21 days of beauty, so you might be able to snag them at a better price point. All right, number 10. Are we at number 10? Yes, we are. And number 10, I'm gonna give it to BECCA. Okay, this bronzer, I really like this bronzer. They sent me all the shades in PR, and I was like, I don't know, but then I started using it, and the finish, the blend is so nice. This is Ipanema Sun. Stunning. Love it. So I'm gonna give you number 10, BECCA. You are right. You need to do a little better, but you know, I'm accepting you right now. Number 11. Gucci. Why is Gucci so low on the ranking list? Gucci is expensive, okay? Highest price point, crappy shade range, because even though I got shade number 4, it still barely shows up. but I still love the finish. I love the smell of it. I love the packaging, like all that luxury, darling, yes. But for a luxury bronzer, I would say go for the Charlotte Tilbury or the Marc Jacobs. Get that baby on sale. But if you wanted to get a little bougie, you can still go for Gucci. She cute, she alright, she doing things, and I'm okay with that. Alright, number 12, okay, is gonna be the Balm, the anti-orange Take Home the Bronze. This one is a little tricky. There are only 3 shades. It's kind of like, where do you find this? So, you know, it falls down the list because of those reasons, but it's still a great shade. It's still a great bronzing shade, and I do like it as a contour color, like a bronzer color. So I'm gonna give it to them. The shade I use is Greg. All right, moving on to the flops, because we have the bottoms, okay? Because you can't have tops without bottoms. Keep moving, don't ask questions, all right? So, Charlotte Tilbury, Film Star Bronze and Glow. Who are you talking to, Charlotte? This is trash. If you did not have this airbrush bronzer, I'd be so pissed at you, because this is complete foolishness. Now, they have like a mini size for holiday. Don't pick this up. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. The only thing good about this bronzer thing is the highlight part, which I actually really like, but this bronzer is trash. Complete and utter trash. All right, Fenty, we're gonna have to call you out. This cream bronzer, I'm sure there are people that love this, but I don't like it. I despise this so much, and I really thought I was gonna like it because I love the Soul Body one from ColourPop, not ColourPop, but Soul Body. I hate this so damn much. The shine that this gives is just ridiculous. Why do I need this much shine? Okay, I am keeping it only because I can use it as a cheek product, like as a cream blush, because the color is cute, but the shine that it gives, how am I gonna use this as for real though, as a bronzer? Stop. You and Film Star just disappoint me. Don't do that. You wrong. You completely wrong. All right, I'm gonna, you know, wrap up the bottom because I started from the bottom, like the extreme bottom with Charlotte. Now, third from the bottom is the Hourglass. Hourglass. What kind of trash shade range is this? For real though, trash. The powders are beautiful, the textures are beautiful, but the shade range is unbelievably trash. And I do like the powders as far as like using them as a face powder, but other than that, like, why am I buying a bronzer if it ain't gonna bronze? Like, for real though, like, no, that's what we're doing? No, Hourglass, bye. No, you rude. You extremely rude, no. Okay, Urban Decay, come on. Fourth from the bottom, Urban Decay Beach Bronzer. I actually do like this bronzer, but those 2 shades that they have available, and this doesn't really show up that well. Why? Don't do that. And I know Urban Decay has the potential, which irks me even more, which is why they're in the bottom, because they can do better. Okay, next brand that needs to do better, NYX. NYX releases products left and right every 5 minutes. They have a huge range. Like, they're one of the biggest brands as far as drugstore goes, okay? Have you gone to a NYX store? Like, they have products everywhere. They are massive. So they can do better than this trash that they release. This is the deepest shade. Are you kidding me? Did this show up on my skin? Barely. It's okay, like, it does okay. It's $10, it's not too bad, which is why it's not at the bottom, but still, like, you can do so much better. Are you crazy? All right. And then top of the bottom, so the one that's not so bad but can still improve would be the Too Faced Matte Bronzer. This is the Chocolate Soleil. This is dark chocolate, the deepest shade. Are you stupid? Okay, I like the smell of it, I like the finish of it, but the color, are you crazy? Dark chocolate. You know what? I'm getting worked up. I'm getting worked up at the bottom. No, we're gonna talk about the top again. We're gonna have to go back to the top because the bottom is pissing me off, okay? I am so mad. But those are my rankings as far as the best ones, the ones that I would recommend, the ones that I love, and hopefully my swatches were helpful to show you guys like what they look like on my skin and like how they blend out and all of that. And like my ranking was also helpful just to give you the ones that are good, not so good, and just great, you know? So hopefully again this video was helpful. It's gonna be best for those of us with deep tan skin because that's what I'm using as reference. Again, I have more caramelly undertones. I tend to lean towards more of a caramelly bronzer, a warm tone bronzer, and one that is more on the matte side. I prefer a matte bronzer because I don't like sheen and shine. I can add the sheen and shine if I want to, but I'd rather my bronzer be matte. So I'm gonna leave a full list of all these bronzers down below in the description box along with links on where you can pick them up. those links will have an asterisk next to them, which means they are affiliate links. An affiliate link means I will get a small sales commission if you make a purchase through my link, which is a great way to show your support for the channel because it gives me a little bit of a kickback and I can invest right back into this content. So thank you so much for using my links if you do, and I will leave general links like Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, and Nordstrom, so you can shop through those links. They're just general links to their website, so that's a great way if again you want to show your support. But if you're not comfortable with that, just shop the way you normally shop. No muss, no fuss. And I'm also gonna go ahead and leave links to my Instagram and Twitter where you can follow me along. And until my next video, which will be very soon, I hope you're staying sane and healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!